Welcome to First Age Fashion class. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. I don't know where you are. In our last class, we talk about how to thread a machine, how to use it, and we cut some samples. We create lines, trying to make straight stitches, round stitches. What have you? You can check from my last video what we did. Today, we are going to sew, how to make straight stitches, square, round, what have you. I've already started, but for the sake of my class, I'm going to demonstrate. Your machine is all already thread, so you release your pressure bar to release the pressure foot to hold the fabric. You put your hand on your balance wheel to release your needle into the fabric. With your left hand on it, you put your foot on the paddle, then you sew a little, you go back in with the stitches regulator, that is called reverse, to secure your stitches like this, just a little. Then you stop, you come back again and set it to your 2.5, which is the basic universal stitches for sewing, 2.5. Your left hand is always on it, you sew like that. Don't look behind you to check if your stitch is straight. Always concentrate on your line and don't look at the needle to as it's moving. That can make you very dizzy. So just look at the lines. Look at what I'm doing. I'm just looking at the lines and so I stop at a point. Then I go back with my stitches regulator reverse to make secure my stitches and then come back again. And I stop. I put my hand on my balance way to raise my thread take up lever. I have to make sure it's well raised. Look at it. So when I take up my pressure bar, when I'm pulling my fabric, see, it's very easy because my thread take up lever is well set. Then I cut. You see what the stitches I have here are straight. You can do as many as you can at home. It will make you comfortable. The more you do, the more comfortable you come with your stitches. You turn it horizontal. You do the same thing. The same thing. Your lines are already there. So you release your bar. You insert in your needle. You sew a little. You go back reverse. You secure back 2.5 for your normal stitch. Then you sew like that. You can see. You stop at a point. You go reverse. You secure. You come just a little. You see, my hand is always there to set my thread take up lever. Well set. You see, you can see how I use it to pull the thread to make sure everything is well set. Then I raise my pressure bar. Then you see, easy. It comes out easy like that. Then I cut. So that is for the straight and square. I put that aside. I go in for another one, which we did the last time. I'm doing the round stitch. I look at the, if you remember what we did about the round stitches, for a beginner, I think that one will be difficult, so I advise you to pin it, the fabrics together, so that you can find easy when you're sewing together, like that, and the corners, 4 corners. Then you put you always make sure your thread is behind you from the pressure foot. So look at it at the point where the point is. You see, I'm releasing my needle into that point where I started my circle. Then I release my pressure bar to release the pressure foot. So I'm sewing. Look at the way I place my hand. Then I go with my, for a beginner, I advise you to use the manual. So like this. Then I'm turning my fabric slowly like that. You see what I'm doing? I'm turning it slowly. I'm following the lines. You can see what I'm doing. I'm following the lines. I'm going like that. You see? You see? My hand is always open, my fingers, so that I can get my circle. I'm following the lines. I cut my thread, which I start with, like that. I open it. You have to use, for a beginner manual, for me I can use the foot, but I'm demonstrating for my class. So you go manual like that. You see what I'm doing? You see? And I'm making round stitches. You see? You see? You see what I'm doing? I'm making round stitches. You can see. You see what I'm doing? Round stitches. That is how to create a round stitches. You see? You see? It goes like that. Like that. Like that. You see what I'm doing? I'm creating round stitches. Round. 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 Check my finger. Round. I've opened my finger to control the fabric now. So I'm using it to fit the machine. You see? You see? Now I'm not using my hand. I'm using just my feet. But for beginner, I advise you to use the manual to help you. See? You see what I'm doing? You do that. You create a round stitches or circle. You see? I'm doing round, round. You see my finger? That's how you create round, round, round. For the round stitches, I can't easily stop because once you start at the point and it ends at the point. So you need to go to the end and then you can stop. I'm almost close to the point, my ending point. So so now I go reverse to scale it, and you see I've created a round stitches. So that is how you use the machine to do a round stitches. You can see my round stitches. I put that one to a side. Then I go in for this one. They are like full stop or whatever. I just created it. I said you should create as small as, so you can do a U, a V, a what. But I have created something. I use my pin to secure it because this one too is another process of moving. You see my finger, I always open it just to control the fabric. I release my bar just at the beginning, then my needle into my fabric. I set my stitches, then I start, look at that. Then I go back, reverse to secure my stitch, back to my normal 2.5. Then I start, this one too is a bit, it has a bit curve, so I need to open up my finger to control my fabric. I'm not using my manual, I'm using my foot, sorry. But for beginners, you use the manual. Is better. So you look at what I'm doing. It's like an S. And then, you see my hand? I'm using it to control my fabric. I stop at this point, that's the end bend. I scale my stitches. I go this way. Then I release. Look at that. It's always set. Then my back. Then I pull it. I cut my excess thread. Always cut. See that? I'm going to do one more with the manual so you see how to use the manual. Like this. Always my thread behind me. You see, I release my pressure bar to release my pressure foot. My hand is always on my manual on the rail to release my needle into the fabric. I sew a little, then reverse. I'm scaling my stitch, very important. Then to my 2.5, I want to use my hand manual, so you can see my fingers are where you see the way I'm using my manual to do it. There's the same procedure, but for a beginner with the manual you can easily control the fabric. When you become a master, then you can just do it just with the foot. You see what I'm doing? I'm going to use it to get the shape and the curve. You see, I'm not using my foot because it's quite faster. You see what I'm doing? You see. Then when I get to the straight part, then I can easily use the foot. I'm just doing it for a beginner. You see what I'm doing? You see the way I hold the fabric? I'm using it to control the movement. Then I go reverse, back, twist. My hand is always there to release the pressure take up lever, so I can easily pull my fabric out. You see, then my pressure bar up, so I pull it out easily. When you do that, I cut out my thread like that. Look at what I've created. So you can use the stitches. Use your stitches to create designs. Look at this one, for instance. You can sew a plain shirt or a blouse. You can use this to create a design. Look at that. So you can try it at home. Look at it. You see how it looks like? Yeah. You put that one to a side. Now you take the last one. Please try match at home as many as you can with different shapes using your machine. It will make you perfect with the stitches, more comfortable and ease with stitches, you know. Look at this one. You see how it looks like? We did it yesterday. It's a rectangular. So we are going to use the machine to do what we call pivoting. Pivoting. You see where the dot is? I put my hand on my balance wheel always to release my needle into the fabric. Then my presser bar always down. My presser foot is always down. It holds the fabric together with the feed dock. So I sew a little, like, look at my hand. When you are doing stitches with cat, you always need to open up the finger. You use it to control. The 3 fingers is away, and then this one you control. You go like that. You sew a little, reverse, secure your stitches to that point, then back to your 2.5. 2.5. Remember, 2.5 is the basic standard stitches for sewing for straights. Then I sew. That's what I'm doing. So that point, I stop. This is what is pivoting. Look at that. I stop to a point. I raise my pressure bar. I turn my fabric. So I have formed a 90 degrees at the corner. Then I release it back again. I sew. That is pivoting. I sew to a point again. I stopped. I raise my pressure bar. I turn my fabric. Then I release it back. I sew again to a point. I stopped. I release it, turn. So I go like that. You see? Then I stop, raise, turn. I'll show you the angle, the 90 degrees angle I'm talking about. You do like that continuously. I stop, turn. So if you look at this side, this corner, this is the 90 degrees we are talking about. The corners here is the 90 degrees. So that is how you do pivoting. Then I release. I go. I sew to a point. I stop. I turn. I form a 90 degrees pivoting. Then I go to a point. I stop. I raise. I turn my fabric. You need this type of stitches when you are doing a hem of a skirt, a trousers, a blouse, you need it. That is why we are learning them. I sew to a point, I stop, I turn, I release, I sew to a point, I stop, I turn, again, I release, I stop, I turn. You see, you do it so it ends. To a point, I stop, I turn, I sew, I stop to a point, I turned. So all the angles you see here are 90. If I use my pen, I can show you. This is pure mathematics. I use my pen, so this corners, they are 90 degrees. The angles here, all the other corners here, that's the 90 degrees we are talking about. Here, here, here. That is why it's called, you form a 90 degrees of an angle. So that is pivoting. Then I do the same thing at the point. I stop. I raise my back. I turn my fabric always. So to a point. I stop. I turn my fabric. You can try them at home. I stop. You see what I'm doing? At the point I stop, I turn my fabric to form my angle. And my fabric, we are in this one here, we are ending it. I turn my fabric, sorry. There's a pin there that can easily happen if I forget to take out my pin. And it's here, you see? So I have formed my 90 degrees with my pivoting. I cut. You can use your pinking shears to cut the edges. That is, if you have pinking, you cut the edges. If you don't have, you can easily fray it like that. You fray the fabric. What I mean by fraying, you pull out. If you pull out, the thread will come out. You see, so I'm fraying. You can do it that. And then you have this book we call specimen book. Specimen book is a kind of book you use in sewing. What you've learned, like there from the beginning, what we call the foundation stitches. You open it, then you paste it. You write foundation stitches. You paste them in it, so you can do reference when you are sewing. You can go back to check what you've learned. You paste them like that in ordinary, in a manner where you can follow. You paste one here, maybe another one here, then that way. Then you can always go to your book to refer what you've learned. We end the class here. Try as many as you can at home. Please subscribe, like, and share, so that in my next video, when I post, you be the first. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. Stay blessed.